movement 2, Art Deco. To some extent though, Art Deco was a movement very much in the spirit of Art Nouveau. Both forms rejected the decorative vocabularies of the past, or historicism, with their inevitable longings for classical motives, themes, and proportions. Both were essentially surface arts, reflecting John Ruskin's early pronouncement that ornamentation is the principal part of architecture. Already you can see the difference between the early modernist designs and Art Deco. Early modernism believed in a minimalistic design approach, where Art Deco believed in ornamentation. But since the dawn of the 20th century, there were three new influences that exerted themselves on the imagination of artists and craftsmen alike. Cubism in painting, colonial art from the French colonies, and the Bauhaus movement in architecture were the three influences. Each of these could be seen clearly in the architecture and exhibits of the 1925 exposition. The new style would be aggressively modern, taking its lead from the avant-garde in the other arts in expressing a new spirit of the age. The 1925 exposition marks a real turning point with regards to the French feeling towards colonial peoples. African fabrics, once seen as quaint productions of an underdeveloped people, were now energetically incorporated into the Art Deco style, which seemed to fit well with the angular energy of primitive art. Art Deco is the clearest sign of a measure, not just a tolerance, but acceptance of the values of other cultures. The case of Art Deco in architecture is more complicated. The Bauhaus had been in business since 1919, but it was a German enterprise, and German aesthetics had little attraction for the French in the years following the Great War. Germany was not invited to participate in the 1925 exposition, and as a consequence, Bauhaus ideas were present only as they appeared in other foreign pavilions. Art Deco in architecture was destined to become little more than a temporary fashion in interior decorating, or the addition of decorative flourishes to the facade. The international style in architecture, which was to dominate the modern skyline for the rest of the century, grew out of the Bauhaus principles and rejected Art Deco as a superficial program out of keeping with form follows function and less is more. Art Deco is most closely tied with the Roaring Twenties, reaching at its peak of popularity in the first half of the Machine Age, when it dominated high-end luxury crafts as well as influencing architecture and furnishings. Its ornamentation included zigzag chevrons, sun rays, and stylized foliage, with an emphasis on vertical shapes and sharp geometric arrangements. The designer René Lalique took part in the 1900 Great Exhibition in Paris. It was the crowning moment of his career as a jeweler. The 1925 International Exposition in Paris marked the climax of René Lalique's career as glassmaker and a triumph for the Art Deco movement. His techniques with glass gave rise to a style that was essentially expressed through the contrast between clear and frosted glass. He sometimes added a patina or enamel or used stained glass. Vase Pen de Vrai, made in 1928 from mold-pressed glass, is a high-end luxury craft object, including zigzag line, reflective sun rays on the glass, and stylized foliage, with an emphasis on the vertical shapes and sharp geometric arrangements. This is a truly Art Deco piece, showing the characteristics of the movement clearly. Rectangular box with thorns, made in 1922, is a mold-pressed glass box, which can also be classified as a luxury craft object. It shows clear zigzag lines on the sides of the box, with stylized foliage and sharp geometric arrangements. Pieces such as these were a true testament to the taste and style in Paris at the 1925 International Exposition.